Hey guys, it's Monica at Academic Phoenix Plus, and welcome to another tutorial. This time we are going to bring in a ZBrush model and import it into Maya to retopologize it and get it ready for baking. As I mentioned in the previous tutorial, there are two ways that you guys can use ZBrush in your pipeline. You can create a Maya 3D model and bring it into ZBrush for detailing, which you can see in a previous tutorial, or you guys can create a ZBrush model and then bring it into Maya for retopologizing. So in the last tutorial, I created a model in ZBrush, and now I'm going to show you how to retopo it in Maya. So just to recap, here's my Sci-Fi crate. I went to export and exported a high poly OBJ. Now I'm going to go into Maya. I can go to File, Import, or I can just go ahead and drag in the file. So I'm going to go to my assets. This is my Sci-Fi crate. I'm actually going to relabel this and call this high poly because it is high poly, and drag it into Maya. Give it a second because it is a 1.57 million polygon model, so it is pretty heavy, but Maya will be able to open it, and then I can go ahead and start retopologizing it. All right, there it is. Let's take a look at it. It is so crazy high poly. I'm going to bring it up just to make my life a little bit easier and just scale it just for the sake of scale. All right, cool. Sci-Fi model. Dang. Lots of details. Just because I get nervous, let's go to Save As, and let's call this my Sci-Fi crate version 1 import. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is make this live. So live means that I'll be able to kind of stick things into the surface. So let's go ahead and click on this magnet, and you'll notice that the magnet is now active, which is live, and you'll notice that the name is over here. I'm going to go to my modeling toolkit over here and activate Quad Draw. So Quad Draw means that when I draw 4 points, hold down Shift, it will make me a polygon, which is awesome. But I also wanted to affect the other side because this side is the same as the other. So we can turn on symmetry. So over here, we have a couple of symmetries. And again, you can activate it up here. And you can see now that when I activate object X, it's affecting the other side. So let's go ahead and create a couple cubes here, little squares, and hold down Shift. Click, click, Shift, click, click, Shift. And this is going to be nice because it's going to be fast. So you can grab vertices. These are vertices that we're building here, and kind of drag them over so that they get really close to that edge. So the idea behind this is that we are going to be retopologizing this. I'm going to make it as low poly as possible so that I can go in and bake it in Substance Painter. All right, let's go ahead and go up here. We are going to need a little bit more details up at the top. So just give yourself extra polygons, extra dots, and then again, Shift, 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 click. Now it's not perfect. That's okay. You can always move it around. Now I'm starting really low, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and click again. So for some, this is going to feel like torture. And for others, this is going to be very relaxing. It's almost like UV mapping, I would say, that some people find UV mapping really relaxing and others find it extremely stressful. I personally find this very calming because it's kind of, simple and kind of almost like mind numbing, but in a way that's kind of relaxing. So you're just gonna go through and make sure that you keep your quads so that it breathes great when we bring it into into Substance Painter and bakes. All right, so far so good. Let's go ahead and add more. Now, if you scroll down, you'll notice that there's keyboard shortcuts, so you can open that up. Keep scrolling down, and you'll see that we have a lot of shortcuts for this. So right now, I'm just clicking to create a dot, and you can drag it by holding down left. And if you want to, you can drag by middle mouse, and drag means that you can drag it based on the normal. I hold down Shift. You can resize the mesh. If you hold down Control, you can give yourself more mesh. I'm not going to do that just yet, but that's an option for you. So there's a lot of things that you can use to make your topology go faster. So let me go ahead and keep adding some dots. Gonna go over here, just kind of follow along. Again, hold down Shift. Sometimes you got to get the right angle to make sure that it follows the right dots that you want. Not perfect. Let me just go ahead and tweak this. Let's move these more to the side here so that look a little bit more like. Nice. If you want to add some geometry, you just have to hold down Control, which you can just click, and that will give you a little bit more mesh. So if you need that mesh, you can. Let's go ahead and keep going. So I might fast forward this part because, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. What you're doing is just basically retopologizing. So I'm going to go in and just kind of give myself more dots, which affects the other side, which is great. And therefore, it's going to be really fast. Now, we're getting to the point here that I forgot to add a dot. So I'm going to add a control right here. Hold down Shift, which will give me this, and then click here. Now, as you can see, I'm not doing a great job on this part because I need more geometry. And that's okay. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more geometry here. And if I hold down Control and click, it will automatically start wrapping around it. So it kind of bevels it for you if you want to. So if you want to add more geometry on edges, you can. Let's go ahead and finish this up here. Cool. Now you'll notice as I hold down Shift, it doesn't really read it. So let's turn off symmetry, and then I can just go in and connect them. Again, I'm just holding down Shift. If you want to, you can click down Shift, which will relax these, which means that it will try to average them out and kind of give them a little bit more even space. So that also helps. Now let's turn on symmetry again. All right, cool. Let's drag these. You can grab edges. You can grab vertices. You're not limited at all. It's a little mess up here. You can just delete it. Turn off symmetry. And that's because I was probably too far away, but that's okay. It's easily fixed. Cool. All right. It's coming along fairly quickly. Let's go ahead and double check that I have symmetry on. Nope. So let's turn it back on. And again, I'm probably going to fast forward through this part because I think it's pretty self-explanatory what we're doing here. Hold down Shift. I don't know. I find this very relaxing. I think it's kind of fun. So let's say you want to straighten some things out. I can get out of Quad Draw, and this will turn into a piece of mesh. I can go to object mode. I can go to edges. I can double click on these edges, for example, deselect them, press R, and just kind of scale them flat. I can do the same thing for this one. I can do the same thing. So this kind of evens things out, makes them flat. Object's not that organic, so this is actually going to be really nice. Flattens things out. We can do the same thing here, where I'm just going to go ahead and flatten them out. All right, just going in and just double clicking. I have symmetry, so whatever happens on one side happens on the other. It's just going to look a lot cleaner if I do it this way. Double click, double click, double click. This is going to select everything. So deselect what you don't want. There we go. Symmetry is awesome, so helpful. Whatever happens on one side happens on the other. Make sure everything's nice and flat now. And now that we have this, again, I can just click on Quad Draw and continue on. I'm going to make big steps now because I can always add extra geometry. Whoops, undo. Control Z, my favorite tool. There we go. So we can nudge things around a little bit. Easy peasy. So another handy tool, what you can do is hold down Tab and extrude. So you can grab this edge and drag it. Now you can see it's not perfect, but it does make it a little faster than creating all those points. So now I can just kind of nudge these, and that's almost like an extrude. Tab, middle mouse, and drag. Gives you interesting topology over here, but that's okay. Just kind of fix it a little bit and just makes it a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and do this on this side. So again, hold down Tab, middle mouse, and drag. Again, it's not perfect. You will have to nudge a little bit, but it does make it a lot faster. Now we do have a couple of steps here, right? So what we want to do is make sure that we have enough geometry by holding down Control and just kind of clicking there to give you more geometry. So it will follow the steps there. If you want a little bit more, just go ahead and give it to yourself. I can always move these vertices a little bit further out, but in general, we want that beveled edge. Let's turn off symmetry and hold down Shift. Get a little closer so you can get to those hard to find spots. Again, hold down Control to give yourself a couple more edges so you can bevel. And we're starting to get a crate. To be fair, the front and the back are the same. So what I can do is actually only build half of it, and then I'm going to mirror it to the other side. Let's tweak this a little bit. Tab, middle mouse, and drag just a little bit. Not too happy with that. So let's go ahead and create our own dots. Dot, 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 dot. Double check to make sure it happens on the other side and continue on. If you want, you can hold down Tab and just click one edge and drag. That will also give you, and you can see that you can snap it. So if you want to kind of drag these down and just kind of give yourself a little bit of space, you can. I'm going to add these dots in a second, but right now I'm just holding down Tab, click, and dragging. Or since this is by itself now, I can hold down Tab, Shift, and drag all the way down. And the purpose for that is just to make this a little bit easier as I hold down Control and just kind of add my edges. Then hold down Shift and click, click, add an edge whenever you need it. Control, click, Shift, click, Shift to create that geometry. So again, this is just a lot faster. Shift, click, Shift, click, Shift, click. One more. Shift, whoops, not that one. Shift, click, Shift, click. Cool. Now it's up to you if you guys want to add this. If you want this just to be an actual indentation, you should probably extrude this if you want to. You can add more geometry, but I'm actually going to leave it flat and just use that as a normal map. All right. That looks pretty decent. Let's go ahead and get out of this by getting out of Quad Draw. I'm going to go to Object Mode. I'm going to Isolate Select. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to delete this side. Just double click here, select that part, and then go ahead and close it. We do have some geometry that needs to go across. So again, what we can do is just select these guys. And this time I'm going to click on Bridge, which will bridge it for me, which is great, but I also need some across. So once again, Quad Draw makes this easy. Let's work on the bottom, hold down Tab, click and drag, just like what we did before. Gonna make sure that they snap together. Holding down Control and clicking and dragging. Oops, sorry, Tab, clicking and dragging. And now that I have this base, you can hold down Tab, middle mouse and drag. There we go. Give yourself some mesh by holding down Control and giving yourself some loops here so that they will match. Hold down Shift and start building it. Whoops, make sure that you get the whole quad here. Hold down Shift. Oops, I might have given myself too many. All right, so I gave myself too many right here, not a problem. I can actually go in and select these and delete them. If you hold down Control Shift, you can actually get rid of some of these extra geometry, and then you can snap them. All right, get rid of symmetry. Down Shift. Let's go ahead and, whoops, finish this part up. Awesome. I'm gonna give myself a couple of edges here just so I can get a nicer rounded corner. All right, let's get out of Quad Draw. Again, I'm gonna go to Isolate Select. Kind of straighten out some of these edges. If I can, I kind of like to make sure that I get my beveled edges. I'm going to make sure they're okay, so I'm going to just kind of straighten them out. Wow, that's fun. Let's go ahead and turn off this magnet because we're basically done with the live. So now I can actually go in and manipulate this without too much trouble. Let's turn on symmetry, make sure one side gets affected by the other. Again, Maya will get you a lot of the way there. It won't get you 100% of the way there. So there's always going to be some sort of fixing. And that's okay. That's what we get paid to do. Otherwise, everybody would be able to do this and we would not be getting paid the big bucks, as we say in the industry. If this was easy, everybody would do it. And again, I think it's kind of relaxing. So for me, it's not a problem. All right, time for some tricks. So I have a high poly going to a low, and I really don't need all these extra mesh. So what I can do is using the multi-cut tool. So shift right click, multi-cut. I'm going to make a cut here, here, and here. Then if I delete this edge, it's still a quad, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I double click on these edges and do a Control Delete, which will delete the edge and the vertice, I now have a high poly object going to a low poly object. And that's really nice because now I can keep it fairly low. So I'm going to go in and just kind of straighten these out a little bit. Put on some nice music and just kind of go with the flow. At least this part I'm going to fast forward through. All right, there we go. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and mirror it to the other side. So I'm going to move my pivot points. You might want to use the view here. And I am going to use mirror. So let's go ahead and hide this high poly object. Let's go to mesh mirror and then go to the options. I'm going to say to take a look at the object and let's go ahead and mirror, which will give you this pop-up window. As you can see, I didn't grab the right one. So let's go ahead and choose Y. Let's show you positive Y, maybe positive X. It's one of these. I just got to figure out which one it is. Ooh, not that one. Let's do negative. There we go. And let's double check to make sure it is the size. So let me just go in and make sure that it is the correct size here by moving that pivot point a little bit. And there we go. We now have a low poly object with the high poly object. So I'm going to move the high poly. And there we go. So now we have a low poly and a high poly. The next thing I want to do is make sure that I delete the history, freeze the transformations. This is going to be my low poly. Now this is very low. I can definitely add a lot more edges, give it more bevels and things like that. But I think this will give us enough information to be able to push this forward. Furthermore, let's not forget to UV map this. I'm going to do a quick automatic map. It's not the best idea, but let's take a look at the UV editor. And I have a lot of pieces, so I will have to clean this up. But in general, I need to make sure that I have a UV map before I start baking. All right, guys. Well, that is how you can create a high poly, bring it into Maya, retopologize it to be a low poly using quad draw. Took a little bit of time, but actually not too bad. And now this is, once you have this UV mapped, the low poly object to be UV mapped, it's ready to be baked and textured. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. Let me know by leaving a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you actually learned something new or you think that it was useful. That is your message to me, letting me know that you guys like these videos and you want to see more. And of course, subscribe. That also is really helpful. Please share my videos to any artists that might like to use this to help them out. How easy it is to retopologize something. Don't forget to take a look at academicphoenixplus.com where you can find free 3D models, free tutorials, trainings, and so much more. So take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep creating, and I will see you next time.